Choose precision over drama. Eventually, precision becomes default. This changes how pressure feels. Pressure no longer triggers panic. It triggers instruction. What's the move? What matters most? What stays under control? That mindset is powerful, because in every situation, the voice in your head sets the ceiling for your behavior. If that voice is scattered, you scatter. If that voice is steady, you steady. Training your self-talk is training leadership. Leadership over attention. Leadership over emotion. What's leadership over action? And once that leadership is established, external chaos loses much of its influence. The world may still be loud. Situations may still be uncertain. But internally, you are directed. You know what to do. You know how to respond. Not because someone told you, but because your mind speaks clearly. That clarity is earned, and it is one of the most powerful forms of mental strength you can build. Chapter 8. Show up no matter what. Most people don't fail because they lack talent. They fail because they disappear. They disappear when motivation fades. They disappear when progress slows. They disappear when effort stops feeling exciting. Showing up is the rarest skill. It sounds simple. It is not. Showing up means acting without emotional permission. It means continuing without reassurance. It means staying engaged when there is no immediate reward. Untrained minds wait for alignment. They wait to feel ready. They wait for clarity, confidence, or motivation. Those states are unreliable. A trained mind does not wait. It moves on schedule. Schedule beats mood every time. When you show up consistently, you remove decision-making from the equation. There is no debate. There is no negotiation. You don't ask whether today feels right. Next, you act because this is what you do. This consistency builds identity. Identity is stronger than motivation. Motivation fluctuates. Identity holds. When you see yourself as someone who shows up, absence becomes uncomfortable. Skipping feels wrong. Quitting feels foreign. This internal pressure is healthy. It replaces external discipline with internal expectation. Showing up also trains self-respect. Every time you follow through, you reinforce trust with yourself. Self-trust is foundational. Without it, confidence collapses under pressure. With it, you act decisively. Decisiveness is not certainty, it is commitment. Showing up teaches commitment. You commit to effort without knowing the outcome. That willingness is rare. Most people want guarantees before they invest. They want proof before they act. Life does not work that way. Progress rewards participation, not certainty. Those who show up without guarantees eventually gain leverage. Because consistency compounds. Small efforts, repeated, create momentum. Momentum simplifies action. Once momentum exists, continuing requires less effort than stopping. Stopping breaks rhythm. Restarting costs energy. That's why showing up is easier when it becomes uninterrupted. Untrained minds underestimate this. They believe missing a day doesn't matter. They believe breaks are harmless. Occasionally they are. But frequent interruption prevents compounding. A trained mind protects continuity, not perfection. Continuity. You don't need flawless execution. You need repeated presence. Presence creates familiarity. Familiarity reduces resistance. Resistance is the main obstacle. Resistance appears when effort feels forced. But effort feels forced when it is inconsistent. When something becomes routine, resistance fades. This is why disciplined routines matter. Routines remove emotion from action. You don't decide. You execute. Execution is easier than decision-making. Decision-making drains energy. Showing up also reshapes how you experience boredom. Boredom is not the enemy. It is the gateway. Boredom appears when novelty disappears. Most people interpret boredom as a signal to stop. A trained mind interprets boredom as a signal of depth. Depth is where mastery forms. When novelty fades, the surface distractions disappear. What remains is the work itself. Staying with the work when it is no longer stimulating is how skill deepens. This applies everywhere: work, training, relationships, personal growth. Those who leave when boredom appears stay average. Those who remain move beyond average. Showing up also trains humility. You stop expecting constant excitement. You stop demanding emotional rewards. You accept that progress is often quiet. Quiet progress is sustainable. Loud progress attracts attention, but often burns out quickly. A trained mind prefers quiet progress. It values stability over praise. This preference protects focus. Focus protects quality. Quality compounds into reputation. Reputation opens doors. But none of that happens if you don't show up. Showing up also strengthens emotional regulation. When you act consistently, emotions lose control over your behavior. You feel tired and still act. You feel uncertain and still act. You feel unmotivated and still act. This creates emotional resilience. Resilience reduces fear. Fear thrives on avoidance. When you avoid showing up, fear grows. When you show up anyway, fear shrinks. This is not bravery. It is exposure. Repeated exposure teaches the nervous system that action is safe. Safety reduces anxiety. Reduced anxiety improves performance. Performance reinforces confidence. Confidence encourages continued showing up. Another loop forms. This loop is powerful. It turns effort into habit. Habit into identity. Identity into results. Showing up also simplifies long-term goals. Instead of focusing on outcomes, you focus on attendance. Did I show up today? Yes or no? That question is controllable. Outcomes are not always controllable. Attendance is. This shift reduces pressure. Pressure often paralyzes. Attendance frees action. You stop obsessing over results and start investing in process. Process thinking is mature thinking. It reduces emotional volatility. It allows patience. Patience supports endurance. Showing up also changes how others perceive you. People trust consistency. They trust those who arrive reliably. Reliability builds credibility. Credibility creates influence. Influence creates opportunity. Opportunities are often given to those who have proven they won't disappear. Talent attracts attention. Consistency earns responsibility. Responsibility leads to growth. This applies across domains. In work, consistent people are promoted. In relationships, consistent people are trusted. In personal development, consistent people transform, not quickly, but permanently. Showing up also removes excuses. Excuses thrive in inconsistency. I missed yesterday, so today doesn't matter. That logic only works when attendance is optional. When attendance is non-negotiable, excuses lose power. You don't explain, you don't justify, you act. This simplicity is liberating. It removes internal conflict. Conflict drains energy. Energy conserved is energy applied. Over time, showing up becomes who you are, not something you force. At that point, discipline feels lighter. Not because effort decreased, but because resistance did. Life does not become easier, you become steadier. Steadiness is underrated. Steady people are not flashy. They are effective. They don't spike and crash. They progress. Progress is cumulative. Years of showing up create outcomes that look sudden to those who weren't watching. From the outside, it looks like overnight success. From the inside, it feels like inevitability. That inevitability is earned. Showing up no matter what is not dramatic. It does not feel heroic. It feels ordinary. That is its power. Ordinary actions, repeated, produce extraordinary stability. And stability is one of the greatest advantages you can have in an unpredictable world. You cannot control every situation, you cannot control every outcome, but you can control this, whether you show up. And those who show up again and again eventually win in more situations than those who don't. You've reached the end of this audiobook, but the work itself is just beginning. What you've heard over these 70 minutes is not a theory. It is not inspiration. It is a training framework, a way to operate when life applies pressure. Most people search for answers outside themselves. They look for better circumstances, better timing, better motivation. But the real advantage has always been internal. Control. Control over reactions. Control over attention. Control over behavior when emotions fluctuate. Throughout this audiobook, you've been introduced to 8 core principles. Winning the inner game, choosing discipline over feelings, staying calm under pressure, controlling reactions, building mental endurance, thinking clearly in chaos, training your self-talk, showing up no matter what. These are not separate ideas. They reinforce each other. Together, they form a system designed to keep you steady in situations that break others. This system does not require exceptional talent. It does not demand perfection. It demands consistency. Consistency in how you respond. Consistency in how you think. Consistency in how you show up. That consistency becomes identity, and identity is stronger than motivation will ever be. As you move forward, don't try to apply everything at once. Training doesn't work that way. Choose one principle, practice it deliberately. Notice when emotions try to lead. Notice when urgency tries to rush you. Notice when discomfort tries to push you away. Those moments are the training. Instead of resisting them, use them. Pause, breathe, choose. That simple sequence creates space, and in that space, you regain control. You don't need to eliminate pressure. Pressure is unavoidable. You need to increase your capacity. Capacity allows you to hold more responsibility, more uncertainty, more challenge without losing clarity. That is mental strength. Mental strength is quiet. It doesn't announce itself. And it shows up in decisions that don't need explanation. It shows up in a restraint. When would it feel easier? It shows up in consistency when quitting would feel justified. Over time, those choices compound, not dramatically, reliably. And reliability wins more often than intensity. If there is one idea to carry with you, let it be this. You don't win in life by waiting for perfect conditions. You win by becoming the kind of person who stays in control in imperfect ones. That control is not gifted, it is trained. Train your mind daily, not when it's easy, not when you feel inspired. Train it when it matters, when emotions rise, when pressure builds, when results are uncertain. Those moments define outcomes. As you step back into your life, remember this. You may not control every situation, but you always control your response. And when you control your response, you control your direction. That is how winning actually happens. Not by chance, not by luck, by training. Train your mind, and you will be ready for every situation. Before you move on, understand this clearly. Mental training is not something you complete. It is something you maintain. Just like physical strength fades when training stops, mental strength weakens when discipline disappears. There will be days when everything feels aligned, and there will be days when nothing does. The purpose of training is not to eliminate bad days. It is to prevent bad days from controlling your behavior. This is where most people relapse into old patterns. They train when life is calm, then abandon structure when life becomes chaotic. But chaos is when training matters most, when routines break, when pressure rises, when emotions feel louder. That is when you return to the fundamentals. Control your breath, slow your reactions, simplify decisions, Show up anyway. You don't need to do more. You need to do what works consistently. Mental training is cumulative. Each small act of discipline adds a layer of resilience. Each moment of restraint strengthens your internal authority. Each time you show up without emotional permission, you reinforce identity. That identity will carry you through moments when motivation disappears entirely. There will be times when no one sees your effort. No one praises your restraint. No one acknowledges your consistency. That is normal. Mental strength is built in private. The reward is not applause. The reward is stability. Stability in how you think. Stability in how you act. Stability in how you handle pressure. And that stability changes how life responds to you. People trust you more. Situations feel less overwhelming. Decisions become cleaner. Not because the world softened, but because you hardened intelligently. You didn't become rigid. You became grounded. That is the goal. So when you feel tested again, and you will, remember this. You are not behind. You are not failing. You are training. Return to the principles, apply them quietly, and keep moving forward. That is how control becomes natural. And when control becomes natural, winning stops feeling rare and starts feeling repetitive.